Good morning. It's Monday, November 17th. I'm Phil Streible, Chief Market Strategist at Blue Line Futures. So overnight, the precious metals are mixed. You do have December gold down about $13 at 40.80. You do have December silver up 18 cents at 50.86. That puts the gold-silver ratio sitting at about 80-1. Now, after seeing gold and silver shoot up here last week and then correct towards the back end of the week, that critical level of support on the gold market sits at about 4,000, and then below that's going to be 39.51. You go over to the silver market, it's $50, and below that would be 47.06, which coincides with the 50-day moving average. You look at the U.S. equity markets, there's a sea of green on the screen here as some news that came out that Berkshire Hathaway is building about a $4.9 billion stake in Alphabet. So we're seeing Google up about 5% in the pre-market. Now the S&P 500 does remain on edge here with negative gamma implying higher rates of volatility is expected to be seen ahead. You look at the November VIX futures up at 2047, so above that 20 level here, which means you see those wild swings back and forth. So what I recommend doing is paring down some of the positioning if you're going to play some of these intraday ranges. You get the 10-year treasury yields after Friday, seeing that big buy in the 10-year notes here with some trader going to the sidelines here looking to capture a yield. We saw yields sell off quite a bit here before bouncing back and sitting at about 4.12%. You go to the CME's Fed Watch tool, you got markets seeing about a 44.6% chance of a 25 basis point in December here, and that coincides with the poly market. You go out to January, it's about a 65% chance that you'll see that 25 basis point interest rate cut. Now you go to Bitcoin, it did erase its gains here for the year, and the 14-day average range sits at about $5,000. So you got futures bouncing back about $1,000 overnight, sitting at $95,000. And then you look at crude oil futures dipping below that 60 mark at 59.90 here, with a lot of discussion about that oversupply expected in 2026. You go to Europe and Asia, it was really a quiet stock. You saw stocks, you've seen European stocks, they slipped for a third day here, led by declines in retail and the travel sectors. And then the MSCI Asia Pacific Index fell about 0.1%. You go to earnings, you're really not going to see much here until Wednesday when you got NVIDIA coming out here. And then also we are expected to see some of the jobs data come out as well. The Empire Manufacturing for November is scheduled for 7:30 a.m. Central Time here today, and you're going to have a lot more Fed speakers, and they've been really hawkish lately. So Feds Williams, Waller, Jefferson, and Kashkari, they're all expected to speak. So we will see another key event here is that you're going to see the FOMC minutes for the October 28th, 29th meeting, where Fed Chairman Parr was unusually hawkish. Now you get to the flows and the metals here. Big flows in the silver market on Friday. They added about 4.69 million ounces of silver, and it was the fourth straight day of growth here and the longest winning streak since September 24th. So last week's changes, they did increase their gold holdings by about 150,000 ounces. They increased their silver holdings by about 5.61. They decreased their holdings in platinum at 16,000, and then they increased palladium holdings by about 1,200. So you're going to continue to see these flows here back and forth in the ETFs. You're going to see a lot of volatility and positioning coming into the end of the year. If you guys got any questions on futures or option trading, shoot an email to info@bluelinefutures.com. Remember that futures and option trading does involve risk of loss, may not be suitable to all investors. Good luck, good trading.